Shalom, all praises be unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rechakwadash. Double honor unto the elder apostles and the elder bishops at Great Millstone who rule well, and he taught us this truth. Salutes to the sincere Akim Wakwath, Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Barakatham. Pretty much this one is Yahweh Shai appeared unto his disciples a number of times after his resurrection before they realized it was him. Yahweh Shai cooked for his disciples, which became the apostles. So this is the book of John chapter 21. And I'll start from verse 3. Now Simon Peter saith unto them, I go a-fishing. They say unto him, we also go with thee. They went forth and entered into a ship immediately, and at night they caught nothing. But when the morning was now come, Yahushua stood on the shore, but the disciples knew not that it was Yahushua. Then Yahushua saith unto them, children or sons, have ye any meat? They answered him, no. And he said unto them, cast a net on the right side of the ship, and ye shall find. They cast therefore, and now they were not able to draw it for the multitude of fishes. Therefore the disciple whom Yahushua loved, which is John, Apostle John the beloved, saith unto Peter, it is the Lord. Now when Simon heard it was the Lord, he girt his fisher's coat unto him, for he was naked, and did cast himself into the sea. And the other disciple came in a little ship, for they were not far from land, but as it were 200 cubits, dragging the nets with fishes. As soon as they were come to land, they saw a fire of coals there, and fish laid thereon, and bread. Yahushua saith unto them, bring off the fish which ye have now caught. Simon Peter went up and drew the net to the land, full of great fishes, 153, so 153 fish. And for all there were so many, yet was not the net broken. Yahushua saith unto them, come and dine. And none of the disciples durst ask him, who art thou? Knowing that it was the Lord. Yahushua then cometh and taketh bread, and giveth them, and fish likewise. Now this is the third time that Yahushua shewed himself to his disciples after that he was risen from the dead. So when they had dined, Yahushua said unto Simon Peter, Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me more than these? He saith unto him, Yea, Lord, thou know that I love thee. He saith unto him, feed my lambs. And oftentimes we go into this account where the Lord had this conversation with Peter, feed my lambs, feed my sheep, feed my lambs, feed my sheep. The Lord asked him 3 times. But it's beautiful when we read a few verses up. This is after the resurrection of Yahushua, and they didn't know at first it was him, But the beauty of it is that the Lord actually cooked for them, because when they got back to the shore, there was already coals lit, and bread and fish, and then they brought the 153 fish which they had caught in the net, and the Lord said, come and dine. So by the Lord cooking for the disciples of fish and bread, it was to represent feed. As I'm feeding you, not only spiritually, I've given you this word, but as I'm feeding you and cooking for you this fish, cook and feed my sheep. So when we do the work, it's a spiritual kitchen. Okay, there's fish, there's meat, there's vegetables, there's fresh water, there's fresh milk, there's wine, there's every goodly thing, every comely thing for a well set dinner table. All right. and we have to have the ingredients and the recipe on point. Okay, otherwise it's not good for dinner service. Okay, you know, so this is the importance of a well-run kitchen. Okay, when I was very young, one of my first jobs was a waiter at a football club, you know, and you have your regular fans that would go, but then you've got these rich ass people that they would have a 3-course meal and watch the game from a box, you know, and we'd be in and out of the kitchen, and it was a high end kitchen, and whenever we would go into the kitchen to pick up the prepared plates and bring them out, it was like when you went through those doors, man, into the kitchen, it was high intensity. You know, you had the head chef, the sous chef, the other chefs, you know, all kind of shouting, swearing. You'd think they're fighting, but it's passion, you know. Get the fucking fish on the plate! You know, I remember one time, this young chef must have plated up some food wrong, and the head chef flipped the plate over, man, and it fell on the floor. You know, and he said, "What the fuck is this? Do it again!" You know, that Gordon Ramsay type of shit is real. It's real, man. It's not because the head chef hates his staff, but it's because it has to be right. You know, because his name, his is on the line. You know, the food he cooks is on the line. So all those that work under him have to be on point, you know. So it reminded me of that. So when Yahushua cooked the fish on the coals and gave them bread, he said, "Come and dine." He was like, "I've prepared this for you." You know, spiritually, the fish and bread is what? The word, the truth. Come and dine. You know, you're not going to invite people to come and dine if it's not up to standard, you know. Okay, unless you're an arsehole and you want to give someone food poisoning, you're not gonna, you know, you don't care about presentation. You know, you're gonna make sure it's on point. You know, so yeah, you know, the Lord had prepared food for the disciples so that he could teach them a lesson. The same way I've prepared for you goodly things, you know, you must now go and feed the sheep with the goodly things that I've given you. All right, that's what Yahushua said to the Father in the prayer in the 17th chapter. Whatever, John, right, whatever you have given me, Father, I have given unto them, you know. So that's it. You know, Yahushua appeared a number of times to his disciples, you know, and they weren't too sure who he was after his resurrection. But when they realized it was him, he cooked for them to teach them a lesson, namely the head. You know, using the kitchen analogy, Elder Apostle Peter would be the head chef. You know, feed my lambs, feed my sheep. Shalom.